Mm. Straight, straight. All right. Hello, everybody. Everybody. It's rainy here, but it's beautiful though. It's beautiful though. Just had a conversation with my son a little while ago, and he was talking about how people at his school, whenever it's raining, they immediately say it's a dreary day or not going to be a good day. And it's amazing how we set weather events, nature, weather events to cast us into high vibration or low vibration. If the weather is a low vibrational event for you, then every time the weather's a certain way, it puts you in a low vibration. It's not good. It's not good. It's beautiful. Can be beautiful. Can be beautiful. Depends on perception. But exciting, exciting. I want to welcome each of you to this presentation of consciousness ascending. We are going live here, and we're going live three times this week: today, Thursday, and Friday. And we're excited to be of support for those of you who are here now and who find this recording. If you find value in these interactions, hey, catch up with us on our conscious discussions where we're actually live via Zoom. We can have actual conversation and not, do it through a chat, but actual conversations. You can find the link in the description, www.conscious-discussions.com, where you can register and get the Zoom information. And, if you're inspired, you can participate there in an actual conversation. Um, we get questions about being of support, donations, and that type thing. We have set up at the bottom of our conscious discussion registration page a place where, if you're ever inspired to do that, um, you can make donations there. It's a quick, easy thing, but because we get asked that often, we created that and put that on that page. If anyone's ever inspired to do that, you can do it there. But we're excited to be here. We're excited for each of you on this path. We know that for those of you who are participating and who are here and who are finding this recording, that you are making your journey a priority. And so you are our priority. We are here to support you in accelerating the process, the journey of enlightenment that you are on. First, through information, understanding who you are, what you're capable of. And for those of you who are ready to actually tip the scale, we are here to support you in the process of transformation, which is where the rubber really meets the road. Uh, Title of today's interaction is Devastation or Devastating is a Choice. So let's get started. So, what do we mean when we say devastation or devastating is a choice? We mean that it's a choice of vibration, it's a choice of energy. Anytime you have an experience that doesn't feel good, a life experience that sets you back a bit, or that hurts your feelings, or that makes you angry, that puts you in a position once again where you are feeling like a victim or have been made to feel like a victim or helpless or anything of that nature, it can feel devastating. It can feel hurtful. It can feel like you have been emotionally damaged, potentially physically damaged. Sometimes emotions can hurt that bad. But there's power in being aware. There's power in being aware that this has happened again, right? Not for the first time, but this has happened again. There's power in being aware that this cycle is repeating. And once you realize that the cycle is repeating, that the experience that you're having and how the experience leaves you feeling is not new, then you begin to look for that which you have been being that once aligned you. Because the only way you're asking that question, the only way that you're seeing that a experience is repeating is if you are looking inside and you are becoming aware of your expressing and you're becoming aware of the experiences that are materializing around you. You're beginning to see that you're in cycles. You're beginning to see that there are patterns. And when you begin to see that you're in cycles and that there are patterns, the question is, what is sourcing these patterns? What are sourcing these cycles that I know I have been in for years? These types of things. Again, different locations, different faces, but the experience is the same or very similar, and the way I feel now is very similar. These type experiences and happenings have been happening for years. I'm aware of this now. I've changed cities. I've changed states. I've been in multiple relationships, and yet my relationships still end up feeling and ending the same way. Once you begin to realize this, you begin asking the question, the power question of what is sourcing these experiences? What's sourcing the repetition? What's sourcing the continuation? What's sourcing the cycles and the loops that I am in as it pertains to my life? And when you begin to ask that question, you begin to see, wow, I was thinking about that 3 days ago. I was remembering the last time it happened. It just came up in my mind and I got fixated on it and I actually got upset again or I actually got nervous. The fear made me nervous because of that situation. I remember thinking about it and then it happened again. And you begin to see how you are engaging in the activities of the mind. You begin to see how the trauma, the high emotion of the trauma or the tragedy or the happening has sown an idea. And every time you entertain that memory, every time it just comes up on its own, you're not even thinking about it. You see the imagery, you feel the feeling, and you do everything right inwardly when it comes to the inner creative process. And once you begin to notice this and you begin to break down the inner creative process, you begin to see, okay, I'm seeing images. Images, number one, that's how the mind works. Images. Number two, those images, even though yes, they have information, but they, if I entertain the imagery long enough, I begin to feel a certain way. I begin to feel beautiful or not so beautiful. I begin to feel excited or not so excited. I begin to feel loving or I begin to feel the absence of love. And that which you call feeling is a certain vibrational state. It is a certain frequency. You are resonating. You are resonating at a certain level of vibration. Your energy signature has a certain vibration, a certain speed to the vibes that you're giving off in relationship to that specific event or that specific idea of life. Say relationships, whether you're successful or not. Say your job or career and whether you're successful or not. Say your business attempts or endeavors and whether they're successful or not in your health and well being and whether you feel successful in that area or not. How you feel is key. How you feel is critical because that is one of the critical faculties of your inner creative process the imagery of the mind and how you feel. Those two pieces, if you affect one, you affect the other. If you change how you feel, whether you're imaging on the inside or you're observing beautiful, excellent, amazing, fantastic outside of you, it will eventually affect how you feel. If you address how you feel, then that will eventually, because you move into a higher vibrational state, it will affect the thought patterns. that come into your mind. It will affect the imagery that you entertain, how you perceive events, how you perceive ideas within your mind. And then you begin to see those things that you are aligning with, not just what you have aligned with in the past, but how you can begin to anticipate what you're going to be aligned to, anticipate and expect what you're going to be aligning yourself with in the future, right? You will begin to know, not through our information that we're sharing with you, but through personal experience. If I consistently offer this, then I can expect this. Look at it as an equation. If I consistently offer A, I can expect B, right? If I consistently offer high frequency, high vibration, feeling good, observing the rain as beautiful, observing the sun as beautiful, observing the animals in nature interacting and doing their thing as beautiful, as perfect, observing the happenings at my job, beautiful, perfect, as much and as often as I can. If I feel in this fashion, then I can expect experiences that are aligned with that feeling, that support me in continuing to feel that way. You can expect it. And just as you can expect that, once you become consistent and that consistently begins to overcome past momentum. Now, don't make the mistake in thinking that you're going to have to make this huge grand effort before you're going to start seeing results. That's not true. The manifestation of your energetic expression can happen immediately and often does happen immediately. You just miss it. Oftentimes, your states of being are reflected back to you very, very quickly, but you have just failed to recognize that these are manifestations because you're looking for the things. You're looking for the money. You're looking for the house. You're looking for the car. You're not noticing how your frustration was reflected back to you very quickly in your spouse or in your children or in a coworker. Manifestation. Very quickly. You're not noticing that, but it is manifestation. It is reflection in the highest, most perfect, in its highest and most perfect form. But you begin to see and expect, if I'm consistent in my offering, in my vibrational offering, in my energetic offering, I can anticipate and expect that it will be reflected back to me. Then he started off years ago playing with it. And he still plays with it. You should play with it. And to continue to build the inner strength and the inner knowing. You should play with it. Set goals per se for yourself. When you the next time you plan to go to a restaurant, before you leave your home, intend the most highest and the most beautiful and the most excellent experience. Leave it broad, but explode the energy in just that fashion. The most excellent, the most beautiful, the most fantastic experience. Leave it at that. Again, you're playing with it. And because you're playing with it, you're not going to offer any resistance. And that's key. You're not going to pull up and say, oh man, I know I intended that, but I bet it's going to be a terrible experience. I bet the person at the door is going to be mean to me. I bet they're going to be angry and frustrated, having a bad day. I bet the waitress is going to be terrible. I bet the food's going to be terrible. You're not going to offer that, right? You're just going to be thinking, wow, I wonder how it's going to be perfect. I wonder what's going to show up or what's going to happen that's going to affirm my intention that I offer. That's what you're going to be thinking. You're going to be looking for the manifestation, excitedly looking for the manifestation of your intention, right? Excellent, amazing, the most beautiful experience. And what you'll do is you'll miss when you pulled up and you got a parking space in the front. You'll miss that a complete stranger opened the door for you, held the door for you and your family or your partner or whoever you're with that you went in. You'll miss that. You'll miss the excellent interaction with the host at the door, checking to see how many's in your party, letting you know what the weight is, letting you know any other pertinent information, right? All of these are manifestations of that which you intended. And then when you're seated and the waiter or the waitress is excellent, they're fantastic. They have the most excellent personality. They offer the most excellent information about what's going on that day and the specials. Food comes and it's amazing. The conversations around you are amazing. People are laughing and having a good time, and you hear them laughing, and it actually triggers you to make you feel even better than you already do. You're leaving and you're inspired to leave an amazing tip because the waiter or waitress was just that awesome. And everything lined up. And when you think about it 2 days later, wow, that experience was actually what I intended. And I didn't intend that and build it up for weeks. I intended it right before I left home. And it was just what I intended, or better. I couldn't have imagined how awesome the experience was. Oh, I forgot. On the trip there and on the way home, every stoplight was green. I never had to stop at a stoplight. They were all green. Or I only had to stop once. Is it possible that that is a manifestation of the energy that you offered? Absolutely. And that's why we say devastation or devastating experience is a choice because it's vibrational. Now, are you consciously choosing it when you're deep in the throes of conditioning and programmed living? No, but you're still choosing nonetheless. But now, for those of you who are here live or have found this recorded and have listened to it beyond the beginning, we know that this path and the journey and the learning and the ex- expanding of your awareness is a priority. If you've made it this far, you are coming to realize the power that you wield. You're coming to realize that your intention and the feeling, focusing on that and not offering resistance to it, needs to be a priority. And you're striving, playing, and practicing to make it a priority to remind yourself to intend at every moment, to intend in every new moment, and to feel excellent about your intention because that's the energy you want to color and coat the upcoming experiences. Whether you're moving from room to room in your house, whether you're stepping into the meeting at your job, whether you're having a conversation with a new potential client in your business, the process is the same. Process is the same. And now that you're aware, it's even more important that you begin to choose. Begin to choose. Begin to set, what do we say? Begin to set up reminders in your life to feel good. When you walk into your kitchen and you see the flowers on the table, make it a point to notice the beauty, the perfection, and feel good. When you step outside of your house, make it a point to look out into nature, somewhere, something, and notice the beauty, notice the perfection, notice the abundance, and feel good. Feel in alignment with it. When you go into the store, make it a point to find something. The laughter of children, the interaction of strangers, and feel it. Embody the feeling of that perfection. Embody the feeling of that freedom. Embody the feeling of that authenticity, embody the feeling, and feel good. Because you're trying to make that state of being your norm. You're playing and practicing to overcome the conditioning of focusing on what's unwanted and being in low vibration. We wrote a piece this morning, and don't ask us the name, we can't remember. What was the name? But the point was, and it's going to come out later on today if you're on the mailing list. But the point is, we're talking about the feeling. We're talking about being in alignment and maintaining a high level of vibration no matter what, because that's your truth. That's where you come from. That's what you will remember once you transition from your physical body back to the vibrational energy planes, the higher frequency planes. So now that you know that's where you're going back to. You know that's where you came from. You know that's your truth right now because it's only a small piece of you that is focused in and through your physical body that is perceiving the very limited amount of data through your physical senses. Now that you know that, then your energetic vibrational truth should be your priority. Understanding that should be your priority. Living from that space should be your priority. Beyond the body, beyond the mind. Begin to try and play and practice to perceive, to interpret, to express authentically and uniquely from that place should be your priority now that you know that it's your truth and that this is not. And that the thoughts most often streaming through your mind are not. That every identification that you have right now is not you, not the truth of you. Mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, artist, musician, painter, artist, painter. Yeah, it's not the same. No matter what you call yourself, in whatever capacity you find yourself in, it's not you. You want to discover the truth of you vibrationally, energetically from that space, and then begin to live from there. Begin to perceive from there. Begin to interpret from there. Make that your dominant vibrational expression or as close to it as you can. And watch how your life experience begins to shift and change and transform in accordance to that. Begin to notice the inspirations that begin to flow freely. Some of them you may have seen, but now they will become more and more pronounced because of the vibrational state that you're more consistently in. Now that are returning to the truth of your personal power with the ability to act on your inspirations without hesitation, notice how they begin to swell. Those ideas, those goals, those life interactions and experiences that you set for yourself before you entered into your physical body, the more closer you get to the truth of you, the bigger these inspirations will be, and the more freely you will be able to act on them. There's so many things, so many elements to this that will be revealed when you begin to make the truth of you and source, that level of frequency expression, your priority. But you have to work your way back to it. You have to work your way back beyond and through the conditioning, transforming the conditioning that will allow your vibration to lift organically, but also striving to play in that higher frequency as you work your way back, because that's conditioning as well. So much. So much understanding the truth of you. So much in recognizing and realizing the you that is free of fear. Have you ever really considered who am I without not the fear, but who am I without fear? Period. What does my true, authentic self look like? What does my most unique self expression look like? Free of fear. That's where you're going. And that's where we're excited to support you in accelerating that process. This is one way that we're doing it. The live Zoom calls is one way that we're doing it. Private sessions that we have with individuals just like you is a way that we're doing it. And if you're inspired to, be sure to check out that page. It's in the description also. Understand, if you're here, we share this with you. The investment for the private sessions is what you set, not what we set. If you're inspired, set a time. Have a private session, and whatever you're inspired to offer at the end, after that session is over, whatever you're inspired to as an investment for that interaction is up to you. There's no preset investment for it. Yeah, we know that's new. We know that's not normal, but that's how we have decided to move forward with that. So if you're inspired to a private session, be sure to jump over there and get scheduled. And then we have the Ascension Accelerator, which is our private community where transformation, accelerated transformation is the goal. That's the conversation. That's what those conversations are about. People who are engaged in that process daily. And when you get to that point, we're ready for you there also. We're excited for each of you. We love you very much. You have no idea. And if you have any comments or questions, we will now take a few minutes to entertain those from the chat. My eyes adjust for a second. There we go. Hey, Catherine. Thank you, Abraham. Benny, I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Conscious discussion. Absolutely. Love the idea of nothing, of thinking about who I am without fear. Absolutely. And Catherine, we know you have been playing and practicing with this for a long time. Your inner being takes you there. If you ask that question, your inner being will take you there. Benny was asking, he has started asking, well, he did it this weekend, just asked the truth of me and source. He just asked, take me in this meditation in the morning before he gets out of bed. He does this thing. And particular morning, it was just on him to ask, just to take me to the truth of me and source so that I can begin to really, really embody that feeling, knowing that that's the most important thing because of what's not there, right? There's no fear there in the truth of you and source. So he just asked the question. Now, it looked like he was being taken through space and like the stuff coming past him. This is just what it felt and looked like inwardly. And then when he got there, the sprinkling, it was like the sprinkling of the energies were so high, he could feel it. And it took him through. The energies were high and sprinkly and sparkly. And as he was entertaining that feeling, it began to grow inside of the body. It became uncomfortable. Then it promoted crying because of the height of the frequencies. And then once Benny got through the crying phase, and you've heard that before with entertaining of higher frequencies, there are individuals who channel your Jesus idea, and they say that the vibration is so high that they can't feel like they feel like. but they can. They feel like they can't get too close because it always makes them cry. That was interesting to hear one time when Benny was listening to them talk. But he got through the crying phase of the high frequencies within the body, that adjustment. It was an adjustment. And then he just kind of sat with it. The feeling of the truth of you in source. It's high, it's vibrant, it's electric. But it's not so much about what's there and what it feels like, it's about what's not there. There's no fear there. And the question is, who would you be right now, living your life on your plane of existence, not after you make your transition? Who would you be right now without fear? We know many of you haven't even entertained that because it doesn't seem like a thought to be entertained, right? Fear is normal, right? Everybody has fear, and nobody's perfect, right? That type of idea that people believe in. There's no such thing as perfection. There's authenticity and there's uniqueness. Nobody said there wouldn't be mistakes. Nobody said there wouldn't be challenges. You're on a plane of existence that's rooted in the idea of growth and expansion. They're exciting because they're sourcing your growth and expansion. Now, all of this is going to be happening. All of this is happening, but you can do that without fear because the truth of you, in the truth of you in source, there is no fear. And you can begin to, once you know that, and you know that your inner being will take you anywhere you want to go and answer any questions that you have, you can begin to entertain that state of being now. See, this is about getting to the roots of things, the roots of your dominant ideas. When you begin to address the roots, the whole plant dies, the whole tree dies, and the shadow that it casts over your life dwindles away as the idea dies away and you establish anew. But when you address the roots and you keep going back to, okay, I'm addressing the roots, I'm transforming these ideas at their root cause that are creating experience for me. And as you do that, more and more questions, deeper questions, thoughts, ideas, potentials begin to arise. Well, if I can do this, what can I do this? If I can do this, what can I do this? Am I doing this faster? Can I do it faster? Can I do it bigger or more that will have a greater impact and accelerate the process? Yeah. Because when you think about energy and things being vibration, the higher energy and vibration you can entertain, that cleanses you of anything less than that. Because higher frequency, think about it, fear is a low vibrational expression and experience. And so if you're entertaining a higher frequency, even if you can fathom going to the truth of you and source, as you entertain that state of being, the vibration, the frequency, everything less than that, if you can handle this analogy or example, becomes uncomfortable. It's like changing the ground, like a farmer changing the ground. You have the ground that's perfect. The vitamins, the nutrients, the minerals in the ground are perfect for growing corn. And then the next year you say, you know what? I'm going to grow potatoes. Well, potatoes require different types of nutrients and minerals for them to grow optimally. And so you change the ground. Now, there's corn that was still in the ground that didn't come up from last year. You changed the ground. So that corn starts coming up, but it doesn't come up optimally. It doesn't look great. It doesn't look perfect. It doesn't look healthy and strong. Why? Because you changed the ground. It doesn't have the vitamins, the nutrients, the minerals that are perfect for its optimal growth. When you begin to entertain higher frequency, just higher frequency, consistently. We're not even talking about the truth of you and source. But when you begin to entertain higher frequency, all that is born of lower frequency becomes uncomfortable, right? Because you're not offering the energy in which it was born. And what do ideas do? They begin to come up in your conscious awareness. You begin to see them because you're able to see those things that are not in alignment with you. When you were energetically in alignment with those ideas, you couldn't see any separation between you and them. You thought it was you. It's just normal. But when you change your vibration, now you can see the ideas that are vibrationally separate from you, different from you. And that's perfect because now you can see that which is in conflict with who you're trying to be, and you can use your tools to transform and release them. And the higher frequency you can entertain, the faster this process happens. And the more you entertain the higher frequency and release that which is in conflict with it, that which opposes it, the more consistent you can be at holding it without giving it any thought. And then the ideas, the dominant ideas that coincide with that frequency begin to make their way in. And the more those ideas make their way into your mind that you use as you interact with this physical plane of existence, you go from playing and practicing to be the thing to just being the thing and not having to think about it. And that's where you're headed. Yeah. Thank you for that comment, Catherine. The energy, the idea sparked that further expression and interaction. Thank you for that. Anyone else? Anyone else have a comment or a question? If not, thank you very much. Thank you very much for those of you who participated with your energy in supporting us and guiding this interaction because you did with your energy. We're thankful for each of you who have found this recording, listened to it all the way through, and been supported. Make sure you're connected. Connect with us. Join us if you're inspired for our live conscious discussion conversation via Zoom. If you're inspired, that's the only reason you do it. That's the only reason we suggest you do anything if you're inspired. Because when you're inspired, you're doing it in the right energy. And if you're doing it in the right energy, you can expect that same energy to be returned back to you. We are thankful for each of you once again, and we love you very much. We will talk to you soon. Okay? Wanting to provide unconditional love to spouse. All right. So, Mel, that idea, wanting to provide unconditional love. You cannot provide anything, and we know you know this, you cannot provide anything that you are not yourself, which is a critical piece, right? Anything that you want to be, the truth of the matter is that you are being it first to yourself, right? Unconditional love. Think about it. Think about the this is why it's been said that you are the first beneficiary of any expression. If you're a healer and you're offering healing to an individual or a group of people, you're the first to be healed because that healing, that energy has to come through you. You have to be if you're to be a healer, you must be healed first. You must have figured it out. You must have learned it. You must have connected with it, right? Unconditional love. In order to be an expresser of unconditional love, you must love yourself unconditionally. right? You cannot be consistent if you're not loving yourself unconditionally. You cannot be consistent in offering unconditional love. That's the key. Think about the integrative process. Anything that you are offering, anything that you are entertaining, anything that you're giving your attention to, your inner being, the integrative process doesn't know whether you are excited about something outside of you or angry and frustrated about something outside of you. All it knows is the information that is coming into it through your physical senses or having been manufactured inside the eye of the mind and the feeling in the body as to that's what you're putting your attention on, that's who you intend to be, that's what you're desiring to create. Your inner creative process doesn't know whether you are imaging something on the screen of your mind just because you're thinking about it, or you're being, or if the catalyst is outside of you. It doesn't know. It doesn't know. It doesn't know if you're looking at the car or if you're just imaging the car on the screen of your mind. It doesn't know. So when you understand that and then you juxtapose that beside the idea of being unconditionally loving to a partner, in order to be unconditionally loving to someone else, you must be unconditional love or unconditionally loving inwardly, whatever that looks like and how that feels. And when you begin to entertain what that looks like and how that feels, the first beneficiary is you. And so, in order to begin to cultivate that, which is a powerful idea because that's an excellent expression that any and everyone truly desires to be reflected back to them, in order to truly begin to entertain that expression, let's take off the partner part. Let's take off the partner part and focus on being, just being unconditionally loving. To who first? To you first. Unconditionally loving to me. Being unconditional love. What does that look like? What does that feel like? And if you're being unconditionally loving to yourself and embodying it for your own self and for your own sake, then it becomes easier and easier to be unconditionally loving to anything and everything outside of you because that energy and that feeling, that vibrational state begins to color your perception and your interpretation of events, whether someone is being that which you desire them to be toward you or not. The level of vibration that you're in will allow you to say they're being who they are with the information that they have and the vibration that they're in. And it has nothing to do with me. And it doesn't stop me from being unconditionally loving to myself, which means I am expressing unconditional love to my immediate and unperceivable surroundings, and they are benefiting from my energy expression. You see how we worked our way backwards into the self? It has nothing to do with external. It never has. It has to do with the internal. It has to do with inner being and the choice of expression. Now we know it's not easy. Vinny's working on similar things. We know it's not easy, but what you have to do is keep reining in your attention, keep reining your attention, keep bringing your attention back to the expression of the thing, not for anything or anyone, not for spouses or children, but for you. I love me. And the more I love me, the more I will express love. I celebrate me. And the more I celebrate me, the more I will express the idea and feel of celebration. I forgive me. And the more I forgive me for anything that I feel like I could have done better or should have done, and all of those things, the more I forgive me, the more I am being forgiveness. Does that make sense? Excellent comment. Excellent comment slash question. Thank you for it. Thank you for the energy behind it that allowed us to support you in that idea. So, again, we are thankful, grateful for each of you who have participated. We thank you for your energy that again has helped us and guided us in this conversation. We're thankful for each of you who have found this recording. We're looking forward to interacting and sharing with you in the future. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's excellent. That's excellent. This journey is a selfish journey. In the highest and most beautiful fashion, it's a selfish journey. That which you are expressing, others will reap the benefits. But the expressing is for you. The expressing is and can be a choice of expression. And the more you choose, the more you make it a priority, you eventually go from having to try to do it, having to play and practice, to it just being who you are. Now, we understand that it's hard to fathom that when you start talking about feelings and emotions and thoughts, but it's the exact same thing as you don't have to think about riding a bicycle if you know how to ride. You don't have to think about driving if you know how to drive. You don't have to think about swimming if you know how to swim. It's the exact same thing. This process of becoming is the exact same thing. You will, if you haven't already, cross bridges from trying to be, trying to become, to being that and not having to think about it anymore. You're sowing new ideas. You're sowing new ideas, sowing new states of being until they become dominant, until they come online as dominant over and above any old patterns. That's all you're doing. And how do you do that? You're doing it with the imagery and you're doing it with feeling. Do it with high emotion. Make it a beautifully traumatic event. Traumatic events can sow ideas quickly. Most of you know that. Most of you have traumatic events that happen as a child, and those ideas have been expressed, and you've been living from those ideas all of your life. Make it a beautifully traumatic event. Use the weather. Make it rainy, make it sleeting, make it cold, give it lightning, give it thunder, make it beautiful. Know that it's all you, and then sow a new idea and let that power, that nature power, sow that idea strongly. And then come back to it the next day and come back to it the next day. And then what you'll see is you'll begin to see thoughts of that idea come into your mind at random. The same as thoughts of those undesired experiences show up in your mind at random when you're not even thinking about it. When you start seeing thoughts of the ideas that you're sowing, the states of being that you're sowing, when you start seeing those type thoughts come into your mind without thinking about it, when you weren't thinking about anything, when you were driving or in the shower or cooking or washing dishes, and thoughts come in your mind based on ideas that you're sowing, that's what lets you know that those ideas are starting to grow and starting to come online. Because before you weren't having thoughts of unconditional love, before you weren't having thoughts of massive abundance, before you weren't having thoughts of excellent health and well being, right? So when you start seeing those thoughts, that's what lets you know that ideas that you're sowing are starting to become dominant, that they're gaining strength, and that they're being the catalyst to new thought patterns. And that should make you excited. That should create a fire that causes you to become even more driven in sowing the idea. And it should be incredibly empowering because it lets you know that you are doing things right to affect transformation, personal transformation, personal transformation, personal empowerment in your hand, in your hand. Each of you listening, you have to know that. You have to know that. And if you don't now, you will the more you play and practice with these ideas. Again, thank you very much. We love you very much. If you're inspired, join us live tomorrow at 12 or when you can in the future, and we will talk to you soon.